Welcome back to the Toppy Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams, and we're here with the opposition opposition preview for the Wolves Everton game. I'm joined by Matt Cooper of the Talking Wolves channel. Firstly, mate, welcome. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, looking forward to it. It's nice to have the proper football back.
Yeah. Although I've been enjoying a couple of weeks with no Everton, to be honest. So it's a bit half and
Yeah.
half. It's nice to watch games where you're not really that fussed who wins because it doesn't really affect affect you afterwards. But yeah, so I say about Everton, but give me your thoughts on Wolves so far this season. I was actually quite shocked. I had a look at the table the other day and was shocked to see you that far, well, at the bottom.
I think we've been sleepwalking into this position for about 18 months, mate. It's been a catalogue of errors from behind the scenes and from managerial appointments to recruitment to just pretty the pies that have been served at the game, mate. It's like everything's just a bit of a shambles. I think the decision to keep Lage on as manager after last season was a strange one, considering the form that we were in the tail end of last season. I mean, he's very lucky that the season ended where it did, because I think he would have been sacked if he had another couple of games. We've had that hangover from that season to this season, and we've just really, really struggled. Obviously, sacking Lage and then unable to get another manager in, and having Steve Davis, who's the under 18s and the under 23s manager in charge of Wolves. He's a club of our size. It's a bit of a shambles, but hopefully now with the Lopetegui, who's a well-esteemed manager, hopefully we can start turning that corner. But it's not looking good. We're in big trouble.
Yeah, what was your obviously you mentioned then that Lage, if there were 3-4 more games, he might have got the chop anyway. I take it you might were you in favour of him potentially getting it? And also what went wrong for him? Because it seemed on paper like a good fit.
I think it seemed on paper a good fit because he's Portuguese and a George Mendes client. There was only one period of last season, I think it was January, where I think we put a runner together, a lot of 5 wins on the bounce. Obviously for Wolves, that's massive, and especially in the league, it's great form. Apart from that, the football was awful. He's quite an abrasive character behind the scenes. Players didn't buy into what he was doing, and I think you could see that on the pitch. I was in favour of them sacking him in the summer if they weren't going to back him, but they've absolutely backed him. They spent over £110 million, and if anything, we've gone backwards. So the decision to sack him, I think, was he should have happened earlier. But that West Ham game was a catalyst for it. But to then sack him and not have a replacement lined up is negligible, to be honest. I think they tried to get Lopetegui, but his father was quite ill, so he said, it's not right for me. It's not the first time they tried to get Lopetegui. He was first choice before they appointed Nuno back in the Championship days, but he pretty much said, yeah, I'll take the job, and then Spain come calling. Of course, if your national team come calling, you can't turn it down. They then had discussions with Nuno, which makes complete no sense at all to me. And then had conversations with Michael Beale, who had pretty much told Wolves he wanted the job, for them to backtrack, which, as you can see from what he said about, I'd never, I never want to come away from this project. I'm loyal. Seems quite an disingenuous character because he took the Rangers job now. So for me, it stinks of a club who don't know what they're doing, or has no real kind of contingency plan or sense of direction. That's changed somewhat in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So Lopetegui's come in. Scott Sellers, who's technical director, has had the sack. Quite a lot of people have had the sack, but whether it'll change anything remains to be seen.
Well, to be fair, what you're saying sounds awfully too familiar for Everton fans as well.
Yeah.
Awfully familiar, especially with the one in a big, I say big, but Lopetegui is quite a big name, and then wanting to take a couple of attempts to get him. It's very reminiscent of when we wanted Ancelotti, didn't get him the first time, eventually got him 3 years down the line. What are your thoughts on Everton so far this season, out of curiosity?
I've got a bit of a soft spot for Everton. I don't have many soft spots for teams in the league, especially in and around us. But I used to live up your ways, and most of my mates who replacing our toffees rather than reds. I prefer toffees. So I've always kind of like got a keen eye on what Everton's doing, just because I like to warm my mates up. They're always sending me voice notes booing, which seems to what you guys love to do. I think that you're banging trouble. I think, and so are Wolves. I'm not just saying it because I'm on a call with you now. I think the likes of us, Southampton, Leeds. I think we could be in real trouble. I think that I think Onana's a good signing. It looks promising. I like that Lampard's playing Iwobi in his actual position, where he seems to be thriving. But I just think something's missing. I think Lampard has brought us almost a sense of unity back to Goodison Park, which I think has been missing for quite some time. But I think that almost that fire and that passion, it's great as a bounce, but I think it only gets you to a certain point, and I feel like that might be turning a little bit now. I mean, the lads, my mates who are Everton fans, their dads, their dads love Lampard because he's passionate, but then the younger generation seem to think he's tactically inept and he's getting found out. And you know what? I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle, but it remains to be seen whether he can steer you away from the relegation zone. But I think it could be a telling few weeks for Lampard. I think if we restart and you lose a couple, or the performances are like the ones he turned in against Bournemouth, then I think I fear for him.
I'm impressed with the inside knowledge as well. The Dars bit.
Yeah, they love him, mate. Yeah,
especially my dad's an Everton fan as well, and he's very much Lampard in, can't keep sacking, and I'm one of the ones that's like, if the performance is not there,
it's always the same, mate. It's always the same. A little bit of passion.
Out of curiosity, do you think he's what do you think from the outside looking in? Do you think Lampard has the tactical? Because you're right about everything else, he brought the club together well, but do you think he's got the tactical know-how to get it done?
No, I don't think he's got the tactical nous to drive you up the table. I think he would galvanise a group of players enough to keep you up. That's, as Everton, that's not what you want, is it? It's not, that's not the Everton that we all know, and perhaps your expectations are a little bit too high considering where you've been the last few seasons. But me growing up as a kid, like Everton were like the best of the rest outside that top six. It was like, for me, from the Midlands, like Everton and Villa are the next two biggest clubs out of that top six. So, I understand why the expectations are where they are, but what is it for you guys this season? Is it survival again? I mean, that's not Everton Football Club to me. So I think he'd keep you up, but perhaps your dad's right about keep sacking managers. Perhaps you need a bit of continuity, but football's not like that anymore. It's always been a results business, but even more so now. Like, managers get 2 or 3 months in a job and before they got the Kit Kat. So I don't know. I think if he keeps you up, then maybe stick with him. But I don't think he'll get to the end of the season. I think they'll have to make a decision, because you know what Goodison's like once it turns. It's horrible.
That's my fear as well. As there was some kicking off with the players at Bournemouth, and I think Iwobi got his top thrown back at him. And I just
it's classic Everton, that.
Yeah, I said to my mate, I was like, there's already writing on the wall. I was like, I've seen this 100 times now.
I've seen this film before, and I don't like the ending.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, once the fans turn, that is it, and it gets very, very nasty.
That's the thing, though, with Everton, from an outsider's point of view. I know as a Wolves fan, and if I know as a Wolves fan, Lopetegui and the players will certainly know. If you can frustrate Everton for 30, 35 minutes, that Goodison crowd will almost become the 12th man for the visiting side, and I think that's probably what they'll look to do. It's on its day, Goodison's one of the best stadiums in the league in terms of atmosphere and getting behind the team, but it doesn't take very long for a few more sideways passages or going back to Pickford or painting around the back four before fans turn. So, and I think everyone in the league knows that. So, and even more so with Everton. So I think that's probably, what Wolves will look to do. I would anyway if I was Lopetegui. You might think, fuck you, who's asked? Let's go all out attack, but we can't defend him. We might have to do that.
Well, I mean, it's interesting you said it, because I think it was Ben Foster last season said exactly the same. He was like, on its day, it's a brilliant 12th man for the home. He
Yeah.
said, but if you can rattle them, he said, it gets a bit nasty. And I've seen a couple of fans saying we played Aston Villa today behind closed doors. And somebody said the other day, can we not just ban the fans then if we're getting, because we won the game? So people are like, can we not just ban the fans then in this case? So yeah, it's not the first time I've heard somebody say that. For an outsider fan to say it does sort of ring that is sort of the perception of Everton. And I can't really argue with the perception of it either, because from the inside as well, it feels a bit like that.
I think it's common with a lot of clubs though, mate, and I don't think it's just Everton, but I think it's magnified more at Everton. Like all clubs get frustrated at home if the team isn't doing much, but it's more so at Everton. It's such a vocal fan base anyway. It doesn't take long before it turns, but it's definitely a bit of a cauldron, especially when you're not doing so well. It's an horrible place to play. It must be for Everton players. It's their fault, like, but it must be horrible.
Yeah, honestly, I've seen some sites. I've seen fans fighting fans in the crowd. That was a Wolves game actually. It was the Wolves game where the cat came on the pitch. A Goodison.
Yeah. Was that the 3-1?
Yeah. Me and my girlfriend went, and it was rubbish. The cat was the biggest highlight, followed by some fella scrapping with another fella in the Gladys Street end.
Classic Gladys Street, mate.
Yeah, it was one of the first games I took it to, and I was like, already like this. I'm so sorry because this is rubbish. And then that happened, and she was like, that and the cat were the best bits, and I was like, yeah, I can't argue with that. Absolutely bad. One of the players I did want to speak about is Conor Coady, obviously on loan from you, won't be playing in the game, but there is the option to buy next season for Everton, which I'm not too sure, but I have a feeling it might be a mandatory one but for a low price. Were you surprised that you let him go? We quite like him here. He's fitted in well.
Well, as far as I understand, as long as Everton stay up, he'll be an Everton player. It's very, very unlikely that he's going back to Molineux. I think that the powers that be at Molineux, the bridges have been burnt between him and Coady because of the way he left. It wasn't very amicable. Wasn't surprised, no, and I still understand the decision because we'd moved to a back four this season under Lage, and although he's come in at Everton and played well in a back four, I do think that his performances have been masked a little bit by Pickford, because I think Pickford's been done quite well for you this season. Not to say that Coady hasn't played well, but I think that's masked it somewhat. At Wolves, whenever he played in the back four, he was always getting caught out, which admittedly wasn't very regularly played a back four, but physically he didn't cope with it. And I feel like with centre halves, you need players who can defend large amounts of space, which he struggles with. You've seen him on the turn. You've seen Milk turn quicker, but one thing that he does give you is fantastic organisational qualities, which is something that we're missing. I don't think he's and it's a discussion I've had with Wolves fans, I don't think he's a fantastic captain or a leader, but what I do think he's a fantastic organiser. I think for me, a captain or a leader is someone who'll drag you back into a game. You're never going to get that from Coady, but what you do know is he's going to be able to organise a back four. So I wasn't shocked, but obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing. Our defence is absolutely awful at the minute, and we're crying out for a character like him to come back in and organise it. But no, I still understand why they did it. But we did an interview with Romain Sace about a couple of months ago on Talking Wolves. It's a really honest interview. Like, I couldn't believe the stuff he was saying, but he said, like, look, you've lost Conor this season, you've lost me, and you've lost John Ruddy, three massive characters in that dressing room, and I think that's something that, as fans who've never played the professional game, it kind of goes under the radar. We talk about characters and stuff, but I think we kind of underappreciate how important that is.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that he seems to be a bit of a character with the England stuff as well. You see him doing the training. I think he was doing, I don't know what the exercise is called, where you jump the highest you can jump. He was having a mess around with that.
Yeah.
And he seems to be quite a character, but I can see what you mean about he isn't. I mean, I'm going to be honest. You're right. He isn't the fastest, but he's positioning quite well. The amount of times I've seen where if he's not there, he'd have never caught him, but luckily he manages to just well, I'd say just find himself in the right places, but obviously that'd be a bit of a discredit because he has got to read the game to get there. Interestingly, we've mentioned the new manager, Lopetegui. What are your thoughts on it? Does it excite you? Obviously, Europa League winner with Seville. UEFA Super Cup runner-up with Real Madrid.
It does excite me, but it's almost, I'm keeping it quite coy at the minute. I'm keeping the lid on it because he's probably the most decorated manager that Wolves have ever appointed, especially in my lifetime. I don't know, going back to the 50s and 60s when we were half decent. But in terms of my lifetime, he's definitely the most decorated appointment. I think he's held in high esteem with players, members of staff. He's got an aura about him where he commands respect. So that excites me. And then I watched us against Gillingham on Wednesday night and thought we're banging trouble. We were absolutely awful. And I get that it's going to take a bit of time, but the players weren't fit. They weren't fit all season. And he's already come out and said, look, I'm shocked at the levels of fitness. It's going to take him a bit of time to get his philosophy across. We're going to be bringing in 4 or 5 players. I mean, Matheus Cunha's having his medical. Well, he's had it this afternoon. Again, probably overpaid, but George Mendes is involved, so he always will. So we're already starting to see him kind of change and mould the squad. He wants high energy. He wants high pressing. He wants us to be organised. He wants massive emphasis on the wing backs, which at the minute we've got 2 right backs who wouldn't have even got a game for Gillingham. So it's gonna take time, but I'm excited. I just hope that they're gonna back him in January. They have to. I just hope he can get his philosophy across, and most importantly, instill a bit of belief and confidence in the players because they look shot to bits.
Yeah, it sounds like it's almost like it's the hope that kills you there with that analysis of it. I was gonna go up about the Gillingham game and sort of ask your thoughts on that because it's a bit tough to gauge at this time of the season, isn't it? It's almost like a pre-season, isn't it? These games now.
Yeah, I mean it was watching Wolves keep the ball for 90 minutes, which Gillingham were all right with that. It was almost as playing an arc in front of their defensive shape, just side to side. There's no kind of vertical progression. I don't think Gillingham even had a shot, but it was worrying that we couldn't break a team down like that. And of course, in the Premier League, you're going to get more opportunities because teams will come on to you a bit more. And once we scored the penalty, which was dubious anyway, the game opened up and we had a load of chances. But there's too many players there underperforming, and too many players there who still don't look fit. So they're going to have to. You're not going to get that sharpness in a couple of weeks, couple of pre-season games which we've played. But I think over the next 2 or 3 weeks, he'll start to weed out who he really wants, and he'll bring players in. He's already had the backing with Cunha. I think another 4 or 5 will follow. I think he'll bring that many in because he's on a very lucrative package at Wolves. He's been paid more than any other manager ever has, and by some distance. And he's come in with 8 or 9 members of staff. He's going to have assurances that there's going to be money to spend, and I truly believe they'll probably go and spend another 120 million in January.
Well, I was going to say Cunha's an exciting one. I think we were linked with him, but as soon as I saw Wolves, the Wolves made it. It was just the obvious, I thought, for him. A lot of your squad speak Portuguese. Even being Brazilian would help him a lot better. Got a manager who's come from Spain as well, who you'll be more familiar with. I just think he'd suit your squad. But talk to me about Cunha, though. That's an exciting transfer. When we were reporting on it, I said I'd take him at us, but it's not going to happen, so it's a bit irrelevant.
Yeah, I think we've overpaid. Mendes isn't his agent, but of course he's involved in the deal. He's some. We don't have because Lopetegui likes to play a 4-2-3-1. We don't have a number 10, and I'm not saying Cunha could be that player, but that's where he's played before. But we need a bit of versatility, but more we need high energy in the system he wants to play, and we still don't have a fit and firing centre forward. Jimenez isn't the player that he used to be. He's pissing around with injuries and didn't want to play for Wolves, and then all of a sudden he was fit to go to the World Cup. So it's left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. You've got Diego Costa who can't go 10 minutes without trying to put someone in a headlock. He's like a pantomime villain on the seat. It's embarrassing to watch. So hopefully he can come in and try and get some goals. But it excites me because he's obviously a good player, and Wolves fans look at his goal scoring record and being like, well, he's not clinical at Athletic, but he's barely played. But then you look at the likes of Joao Felix, who's got, I think, 4 goals all season. Like, are you saying you'd turn João Felix down because he's only scored 4 goals? Like, Simeone and Atleti are struggling, and they're struggling for goals, and they've always been pragmatic in their approach anyway. So I'm not reading too much into that, but it's a statement of intent. So hopefully he can hit the ground running because he's going to need to.
Yeah, I think the fact he can play across that anywhere top 4 is a really versatile thing for you. But like you said, Atletico Madrid aren't exactly a team that are going to score, a large amount of goals as a team, never mind individuals. This is going to be maybe a bit of a tough one because obviously you've got a new manager. I was going to say, can you try and have a guess of your starting lineup?
It's difficult to guess because in pre-season we've switched between a 4-2-3-1 and a 3-4-3. Now, I think he's only switching to a 3-4-3 just to make us a little bit stronger because honestly, Kilman and Collins started the season excellently, but they fell off a cliff, and they're looking to bring a centre half in. There's rumours that Felipe from Atletico Madrid's going to follow Cunha and come, but he's one of many targets that they're working on. I would probably hazard a guess or go with 4-2-3-1. That's what we played against Gillingham. So probably go Sarr in goal, Hugo Bueno at left back, who's a young lad who's come through the academy, who's kind of been doing really well for the under-23s, but he's coming and probably our best defender, which I think speaks volumes of the rest of them. You've got Kilman and Collins at the back. And then either it'll be Semedo at right back. Johnny's got a little bit of a knock still, but those two are in competition as to who can get dropped the most this season. Honestly, they've been absolutely awful. I think you'll probably play a midfield 2/3, depending on who's in and out of possession, of Matinho, Neves, and Nunes. Boubacar Traoré is a player that I really like, who's all action, very progressive in both his passing and his dribbling, but he's got a knock, but he should be fit, so I'm not sure whether he'll start. And then I think he'll go with Hwang up top, with Jimenez, and then a toss-up between Gonzalo Guedes and Traoré on the right. But it could be anyone.
And yeah, it's a bit tough when it's a new manager as well, because you just don't know who they're gonna fancy, do you?
Yeah.
Give me a score prediction then.
For me, it's must not lose. And I'll take a 0-0. I'll take a 1-1. Anything. I just think that if Everton get the win, it gives you a bit of wind in your sails, and it drags you a little bit more away from the relegation zone. I'd take a point, and I think what Wolves will do, as we spoke about, I think we'll sit in and frustrate and try and pick you on the counter, because one thing we do have up top is quite a lot of pace. I mean, especially with Traoré. So I'm going to go for 1-1.
In the same way, it's a bit like that for us. I mean, it'd be great to get a win, especially because it's at home, but just not a loss for similar reasons. I think a loss and people's heads start going a bit quicker.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the pressure, if Lampard loses this and then I don't know what your fixtures look like afterwards, but say if you lose the next 3 out of the 4, I fear for him. I really do, because like I've said, Goodison faithful expect a lot, and I know recently he hasn't delivered, so I fear for him. I really do.
Yeah, it should be interesting. It should be interesting is probably the best way to describe it.
I think it'll be cagey. I think it'll be really cagey.
Yeah, I think we're not a big scoring team as it is. If you were with Lars still, I'd have definitely had it down as like a 0-0 1-1, because we're not a very
I'd have said about 3 or 4-0 Everton, mate. Honestly, under Lars it was absolutely awful.
My final question is, what's your go-to match day meal?
Oh, go-to match day meal. I'm partial to a chicken balti pie. However, if I had the choice, I would wait until after the game, and I would have something that you don't really have up north, but something that's kind of been created in the Midlands. Is a tandoori mixed grill. I don't know if you've ever seen them. It's like a skillet with like fried onions, and then you have stuff like chicken tikka, shish kebab, fish pakora, tandoori wings, tandoori lamb chops. So if anyone wants to have a look on Twitter at Matt Cooper Bites. That's my fan page from Mixed Grills. And you go on there and see what they're like, and then you'll all be salivating. So that'd be my choice with a pint of Madra.
Oh, nice. That actually sounds pretty heavy. That sounds pretty good. That is all the questions, mate. I just want to say thank you for coming on and joining us. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Of course, mate. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and I'd say good luck for Monday, but I don't mean it, so I'll just say have a good Christmas instead.
And you have a lovely Christmas. Don't forget, guys, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment out your thoughts down below for the Wolves game. And you can go check out Matt and Talking Wolves as well. Their links will be in the description down below as always. And I'll see you guys very, very soon.